NFL show with Bryan and Dr. Mobi. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is safe and enjoying football. It's very important to do both because our prevention makes it best. The vaccines help, but it's our duty to make sure we kind of don't ever
Mask up.
think that mask is not going to help. So it's easy to do that and make sure you all take care. How are you doing, Brian?
Doing good. Can't believe season is almost over. It's hard to believe Super Bowl 55 tomorrow, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. So
Yeah, and for us, it is actually, I don't think we should say we are getting old, but very difficult to figure out the numbers from, it said LV.
the Roman numerals, forget about it.
Yeah.
So I just had to do a Google and let them tell me.
Yeah, so I was saying, I'd like, maybe we are getting old.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. We're definitely getting older for sure.
So, but I think for sure we have our two teams. As you can see,
Yep.
I have Tampa Bay as
Kansas City.
and we're gonna still our heart belongs to Steelers and your
Mine to the Browns.
Browns.
Kansas City,
Yeah.
put us out. That wasn't my middle finger, by the way. That was my pointer. But yeah, I mean, playoffs were really interesting. I mean, I think us even getting past Pittsburgh, which I'm sure I found it shocking that we won that game, and then actually played Kansas City pretty well. But again, I mean, tomorrow's the end of the season. One of these teams will be crowned champs tomorrow, and I don't know. Who's your money on?
Well, it is kind of difficult because I see both teams actually very well, and if somebody asked me, I would say both are equal in some ways.
Yeah, they played each other, this season, and I think Kansas City won like 27-24, jumped out early to like, I don't know, it was 16-3 or something. Irregardless, Kansas City holds on to win that game. It's hard for me, both quarterbacks in this game are really, really excellent quarterbacks. Tom Brady has obviously been there. This is his 10th Super Bowl. Mahomes will be his second in a row. So, I mean, if Kansas City wins, I think they're the first to repeat since the 03-04 Patriots. So, we'll see. I don't know. My gut, I'm going with Kansas City, but it would not shock me if Tampa Bay and Tom Brady and Gronkowski and the gang somehow pull it out. So,
Yeah, and it is. I think Tom has really proved again. Never lose faith in Tom.
I mean, you talk about getting older. I mean, I think he's 43, and the way he's performing, especially in the contact games with the NFL, is very surprising. I know me at 43, I fell apart at 43. So, and he's out there, playing at a very, very high level. It's a pretty incredible story. If he somehow pulls this off, I don't know how he doesn't retire and kind of ride off into the sunset, but I don't know. I think he's still got 2 years left on his current contract. So
yeah, he reminds me of Brett Favre. If you remember, he also came so close to Super Bowl and with Vikings, and Brett Favre was in great shape. I think that game I remember New Orleans pulled off, but that was really good game.
yes, it was an excellent game. I think towards the end of the game, he threw a really bad pass across the field that got picked off, but he definitely competed at a high level, in his older age as well. I forget exactly how old he was when he retired, but
He was above 40, I think.
yeah, I'm sure. Hell, I would imagine Brett Favre could probably throw it through this wall over here. So still, I mean, the guy had an arm, a cannon, but I don't know. So my gut, I'll be watching tomorrow, but I think I'm going with Kansas City. If I had to pick somebody, it would be Kansas City, but
Kansas City. Okay, let's kind of go over some of the season highlights. So tell me first, in the season, the regular season, what were the kind of surprises and what was not so surprising?
Well, I mean, again, being a diehard Browns fan. I followed them, watched every game that I could. I did not anticipate them, finishing 11-5. They had a better year than I anticipated. I'm not just going to say it was that was probably the biggest surprise, but as far as me being a Cleveland fan, I mean, that was I was happy about that. I think finally, years and years of going from coach to new quarterback. We finally got a coach quarterback combination that's going to work moving forward. But I was happy about that. Disappointing. I think if you look at Pittsburgh, how they started. I mean, I think they were 11-0, I think.
Yeah.
And then the way their season ended, I think was pretty disappointing. My brother's a Steelers fan, and you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah, I'm Steelers, and that is true. I was very, very disappointed because I think and no matter what we say, Tampa Bay kind of started slow.
Yes.
And that's why I think they say that if you start slow, you peak later, you can probably win Super Bowl. And I think if you peak early, somehow it takes you, and then you're done.
I think there's looking at the NFC, Dallas and Philadelphia, they had off years, both of those teams. There's a lot of off-season questions coming up that we've already had a big trade. Stafford going to the Rams in exchange for Goff and I think 2 first-round picks. So there's been some shakeup. There probably will be more. I'm kind of intrigued to see where Carson Wentz is going to go. Will he stay in Philly? Will he get traded? So there's some interesting things that's going to happen this offseason. What will Denver do for a quarterback? They hired a new GM. I don't know. It's going to be pretty interesting to follow once the Super Bowl's over. I think the new season technically doesn't start until sometime in March. So it's a lot of stuff to keep your eyes on.
So I think for NFC, I think I thought first in New Orleans. I mean, I'm still a big fan of New Orleans. I think somehow they kind of lost it in the end.
Yeah, they've had last couple of years in the playoffs. That big I think it was 2 years ago against Minnesota, that crazy catch to end the game to Stephon Diggs on the sidelines that he took it in for a win with no time left. They've had their heart broke here in the last 2 or 3 years in the playoffs. And again, will Drew Brees come back? I mean, he's another quarterback that's older. So I think there's a lot of questions. Is he going to even play next year? So we'll see.
Well, one thing for sure, anybody thinks about age, look at our president, he's older.
You had to go there.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's not
What is he, 76?
No, he's 77.
77, yeah.
So if he
Good old Joe.
It's a old Joe can be president. So make sure all the quarterbacks, keep your hopes high. Maybe we'll break a record with 50-year-old quarterback one day or something.
Yeah,
right?
maybe if anybody's going to do it, it might be Tom Brady. So
Yeah, Tom.
he's I think if he plays next year, he'll be 44 in the season. So I wouldn't think he would play into his 40s, but here he is in a Super Bowl at 43. So pretty impressive.
Yeah, no. I think one thing for sure we all can learn is how he maintains himself. I mean, look at this guy. He has a great work ethics. He has great,
He's got a lot of money to get some trainers and do all the right things. He does it. So he's got to put the work in.
Yeah, but I tell you, it's not just money. Look at there are other quarterbacks who make much more than him, and then I think it is his nature too.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a winner. No doubt about it.
His body speaks volume.
What's crazy is I don't know if you remember the combine, but this last week have been posting the combine. He's looked like he's 150 pounds, like a twig, and he could barely run the 40, slow. But hey, probably the best quarterback in history, bar none. And he's 43 and he's still killing it out there. So. And
I watched Gronk try to lose weight, and I think he was on some kind of diet, and that's another one. I heard he maintains himself. He's trying to at least maintain that and speaks volume. I think there was a trend before that in NFL you have to be very bulky, heavy, and so forth. But now I think emphasis you have to be leaner and quicker, and Mahomes is in good shape. And then same stands for Redskins, not Redskins, sorry, Washington
Football team.
the football team.
With Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, I
Yeah.
think big story out of this season was Alex Smith.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Incredible, Alex Smith, great job. He had all kind of things going wrong, and that is very, very story that motivates everyone. That we
I think
can.
they gave him the comeback player of the year, I believe.
Yeah, he should.
So
So my favorite was him for 2020. How he. So do you think he'll be playing next year?
I think that's another team that has a lot of quarterback questions. Are they going to try to maybe go after Deshaun Watson? I think Alex Smith, if he does play next year, he'll be in that backup role. But I don't know if I haven't really heard. I haven't paid that much attention to the Washington football team since they lost the playoff game against Tampa Bay. I think it was Taylor Heineke came in and played a phenomenal game. But Alex Smith, I mean, if I'm him, I think, hey, he checked that box of getting back on the field. And he performed, fairly well. So if I'm him, I think I'd probably retire and maybe look at whatever interest he has. I don't know if he has interest in coaching or, whatever. But I think if I'm him, risking another injury like that is too high of a risk for me, in my opinion. But I haven't really heard what his intentions are, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and so I think one of the disappointment was Philly.
Oh yeah, Carson Wentz. I couldn't believe that they parted ways with their coach. Supposedly there was some kind of a rift there. It's my wife's a big Eagles fan, and so again, there's a lot of teams, and Eagles are one of them. What are they going to do? Are they going to go with Jalen Hurst? Try to trade Carson Wentz? There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, so I think even though Carson Wentz's contract is fairly high, but if I'm a team that needs a quarterback, he did performed fairly well a few years ago. Maybe Indianapolis, the former offensive coordinator in Philly, Frank Reich, maybe he takes a shot at bringing Wentz in. So, I mean, if I'm Indy, Phillip Rivers is retiring. They need a quarterback. So I think I'd try to, bring Wentz out to Indy.
I think quarterback is very unique. That if you look at a lot of teams are still preferring older quarterbacks, and they somehow the younger quarterbacks.
It's a good point. When you draft a quarterback, I mean, you just look at the draft. Baker Mayfield was drafted. He was drafted number 1. You had Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, the guy in Arizona that's no longer there. His name's escaping me. I don't even know if he's still in the league. I think he might be on somebody's practice squad. But irregardless, my point is, when you draft a quarterback, there's no guarantee that quarterback is going to, turn out to be your answer at quarterback. So if you got one of these veteran guys out there that's already proven, that might be the easier way to go anyway. So.
And that is very interesting. That look at New England. Patriots. They experimented with a new quarterback, and Bill Belichick, of course, is a legendary coach, and somehow he couldn't pull up.
Cam Newton had a lot of issues. I'm not health issues. I don't know if he was 100% again this year. His throwing motion kind of looked awkward to me. He's definitely not what he was, let's say 4 years ago or 5 years ago when he got Carolina to the Super Bowl. New England, again, is another team that will be looking, I'm sure, to fill their quarterback needs. So whether it's going to be draft, free agent, but Bill Belichick definitely, is one of those legendary coaches who I think will find this challenge and somehow they'll find another quarterback. I don't think it's going to be Cam Newton, but
I think probably will be somebody different than him for sure. And then it gives us for future what hold for NFL with COVID. First of all, hopefully we have a better season next year and things are much better next year. And then going back to different teams, I think 2020, I don't think anybody wants to remember.
No, it's going to be definitely one of these seasons that was remembered for the COVID year. But like you just said, I think next year, with all the protocols that they have in place, I think you're going to see that moving forward, be a part of the NFL, more virtual. Um, the vaccine has been put out. Not everybody has a chance to get it. I know you have got it.
I got both, yeah.
Hopefully by the summer I'll get the vaccine. So it will be interesting moving forward to see how COVID plays a role moving into 2021 with the NFL and all the sports. I think getting fans back into the arenas is going to be huge because if they're not making that money, I don't know how they're going to keep paying the big contracts that they're paying. So they need to get that revenue coming in. So it's going to be interesting off season for the NFL. But I had a thought when you were talking about the quarterbacks, because our teams are in the same division. Watching Pittsburgh, I think Ben had a really good early on in the season, but as the season progressed, I think he kind of deteriorated. I don't know if it's his health. So that's your team would be another team. Or is he going to come back next year? Are they going to try to move in a different direction? And one thing that Pittsburgh always has had is a running game, but last year you guys couldn't really run the ball. So I think that's going to be a emphasis in the offseason for you guys to be how to run the ball. Is Ben going to be the quarterback moving forward? I think he'll probably play one more year. But again, good another big question in the division. And then Cincinnati, their quarterback got the severe injury. I think it was against Washington. So how's he going to come back and play? So a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to physical fitness big time. Big Ben, I think he has tried to be a little bit leaner Ben, and I think that helped him to come back. And
yeah, I think he could shed some more. I mean, if he
wants to play like Tom Brady,
he probably should shed about 20 to 30 pounds. But I don't know if he's a big, he's just a big bone guy. Like he's like 6'5", 6'6", or whatever he is, and he's a big man. I mean, I don't know how he's going to lose that kind of weight. He's definitely lost mobility as he's gotten older. He used to scramble a lot more, but he's not willing to kind of, do those. I don't even know if he could make those types of plays. He just can't move as well. But, it's a team that I really don't like. But, I mean, it's very intriguing to me since they're in the division. I like to see what all these teams are going to do.
Yeah.
And, I like I think finally we're back to a rivalry again. After Pittsburgh dominated for a decade. So
I think, and that's gonna be the other team is the Ravens. So
yes.
What do you think of that?
Lamar Jackson, he got his first playoff win this year, but Buffalo, it could be the formula. They blitzed him a lot and kept him from, getting out of the pocket and making plays. That's his, kind of his forte is getting out of the pocket, and he can, once he gets out, he can see downfield and makes a throw. But if you can keep him bottled up from running, he has a harder time, making those plays. And again, I think obviously he'll be back there next year, but their off season, they're going to have to figure out, okay, if we can't run the ball, what are we going to do to our offense to open it back up to help him make these types of plays? Because it's just not on Lamar Jackson. So.
Yeah, and that is, there was a time I think when Lamar Jackson came, he definitely was the best quarterback,
Oh yeah, I think, not last year, but the year before, he was, MVP, deserved every bit of it. But when you, in the NFL, teams start getting more tape, they figure out more ways to stop him from doing what he's known to do. So it's going to be up to Baltimore to see how they can maybe, in their offensive play calling, how can we, keep teams off balance and use his skill level better. But it's a lot of big questions coming up this off season, and after tomorrow's game, you'll start hearing more and more talks as the weeks go on. You'll have, I don't know if they're doing a virtual combine this year, and then you'll have the draft obviously in April. But it's going to be a fun time this off season. So
And so the other team we like to also highlight is Green Bay Packers.
yeah, I mean, I don't last draft by them really not helping Aaron Rodgers, maybe draft another receiver to help Devontae Adams out. There's a point in that game where I believe they had it like 1st and goal at the 5 or 6, and they end up kicking that field goal, and one of their players, it looked like he pretty much dropped the touchdown. That game could have been different if he had another playmaker. You know what I mean? So there were some rumblings about what Aaron Rodgers said post game about he doesn't know what his future is. But trust me, if Green Bay gets rid of Aaron Rodgers, you'll have 31 teams other than Kansas City lining up to get him.
I mean
he's
Aaron Rodgers is
hands down one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So, if I'm a Packer fan, I'm praying that they don't make that mistake. So.
Yeah. And they did with Brett Favre. So he left and then he again was in Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, but Aaron Rodgers is really a good quarterback, smart
Fantastic.
quarterback. So just amazing to watch him. So I think, and then the other team is, you think what will happen next year to Vikings?
Minnesota. I think they're bringing back everybody. They were kind of, I think it's a little bit of a disappointment. I didn't pay attention too much to that division, but I think Kirk Cousins didn't have that good of a year this year. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I think they're bringing back their coach. I think it's Mike Zimmer, and then I forget their running back. But I think their their needs are more on the defense side of the ball. But I don't think they're going to make any changes at quarterback or anything like that, or head coach. I think you saw all the head coaches. I think there were 7 of them this year. I don't think there'll be any more head coaches fired. If there are, it'd be a big story.
So hopefully, with this season and next season, probably we hope to see the postseason, different teams, or I think Arizona and those other teams. Hopefully they do better, and Miami and Tennessee. I mean, we have so many of them.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Kyler Murray in Arizona, Tua, and with the Dolphins, and there are some rumors that maybe Miami might go after Deshaun Watson. But again, if I'm Houston, why would you I know he wants to be traded, but if I'm the GM and the new coach that comes in there, I want to have a meeting, and because he's probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks, I would not want to trade Deshaun Watson. Why would you get rid of Deshaun Watson, a proven, winner in the NFL, a great quarterback? That's, to me, he's your piece of the franchise that you can't let go. So that's a good point. Another story. How's that going to turn out? Are they going to mend the fences there in Houston and everything? He'll come back, because right now I know he's come out several times saying he wants to be traded. So, but
Okay, and then we have Dallas.
yeah, I mean, Dallas. Dak Prescott had a really severe injury. I don't know what his timetable. I don't even know if he can play next year. So I don't know if the Cowboys will be looking to try to get one of these veteran quarterbacks to come in. I think they had Andy Dalton play okay last year, but Dak Prescott, I don't see him, if he plays next year, probably won't be towards the end of the year, but I don't see how he's going to play at all. That was almost like Alex Smith injury. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but we'll see,
And that is sad, that with injuries, such a great quarterback. And then, but we have seen injuries, the great running backs and,
every year somebody's going down. So Saquon Barkley, tore his ACL. You had Dak Prescott this year. And my fear, if I'm a Ravens fan, Lamar Jackson's not a big physical guy. Typically the running quarterbacks, RG3 with the Washington.
Multiple injuries.
He got hurt. it's to me it's a matter of time when that's going to happen. So, you know, I don't like the quarterback like running as much as Lamar runs all the time. But again, it's part of their offense, and that's who he is. But my fear is the crazy injury.
Yeah, and I think that if you look at the statistic of all the quarterbacks over the years, those running ones didn't last as long as those one which was stationary. So
Matter of time.
yeah,
They take a bad hit.
look at Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's like a statue back there.
So we can
Yeah.
put statue Tom Brady.
Well, I think he's only had one
injured. Yeah.
major injury his entire career, and that was a knee, and that was like in 2003 or something.
Yeah.
And they still finished like 11-5, and they didn't make the playoffs that year. But yeah, typically, offensive line obviously going to play a role. You got to protect your quarterback, but if your quarterback is running, and the chances of them getting hit awkwardly, I think increase quite a bit. So
Yeah, and then and other thing is you have to be in certain shape to run all the time. So if you can't, great Manning, my favorite. He was not a running quarterback.
no, he was definitely a pocket guy, and
Pocket guy, yeah. So there is a plus and minus for both, but I think overall, if you look at those quarterbacks, did way better than running.
health-wise, they should stay healthier for sure, staying in the pocket. So
And I think Aaron Rodgers is a little bit different, that he's kind of mix of both.
yeah, he runs when he has to, and like he'll scramble, but his
normally he won't.
staple of his game is slinging it, and he can definitely sling it with the best of them. His arm talent is incredible, and he's accurate.
So I think with that, so give us your feedback on the Super Bowl. But your pick is gonna be Kansas
I'm going with
City.
Kansas City. I'm going to say 28-24.
So in Tom we trust. So Tom, don't disappoint me. So I think if you win at this age, it will be great. Then President Biden congratulating oldest quarterback.
If he doesn't call and forget what he's calling you about. Who is this? But anyway.
Okay. So with that, we thank everyone for watching our show and give us feedback. And we will be back next season. But off season, we'll be tracking draft and still doing other sports coverage.
I think we should do a draft show. Yeah.
We'll definitely be back on a draft show. Enjoy Super Bowl. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye. As soon as you said that, I was like, shit, let's do a draft show. Because usually I have a little small draft party at my house. We could maybe tape it.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun. All right.
So we talk a lot.
Yeah, you have to do some editing.